When I first made the what to watch out for when playing sniper video, I seem to have missed a few important things when talking about being on the offensive side of push as a sniper. And seeing how well the last episode did, I think it's the obvious answer to go back and correct what I previously missed. Also, a big thanks to all the people returning from my last video. It's nice to see the support and I greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get into things you should not do as sniper part 2. Now moving on to today's subject. First we have where to place your crosshairs with a sniper. This was the only one that I really thought was important when I missed it, which is why I'm touching back on it in this video. This is an important aspect to consider when playing sniper because unlike almost other classes, sniper requires a high level of precision and when aiming. So when you aim your sniper at an enemy's head, you should want your crosshair to be as close to their head before the fight even starts. What I mean by that is you should always have your crosshair directly at head level in your screen when walking around or moving. It is a small consideration, but it makes a world of a difference when it comes to hitting your shots quickly when you need to. If a random enemy pops up out of nowhere, you need to be ready to fight them or flee. And the best way to finish them is with a quick sniper shot to the head. Being prepared for quick encounters is why you should always have your crosshairs at head level for when you're getting into fights at unexpected times. For newer players, I can say this is definitely an easy thing to forget from time to time. So whenever you're out of a fight in a safe place, try to remind yourself to keep your crosshairs up and ready for any surprises. Now moving on to the next topic that I left out of the first video, how to use your team as bait. And also how to avoid other snipers using their team as bait. Whenever you're trying to deal with an enemy sniper and they are hard locked to the point where you're hiding behind, this is the best point where you should use your team as bait. So as the enemy is focused on the point you're hiding behind, your teammates roll out and distract the enemy sniper. This is where you come out and take your shot when they're dealing with the others. This is a pretty good strategy to gain advantage in sniper 1v1s when you're struggling to take them down. However, I will say that this will not always work, especially on more experienced players. They are more aware of the tactics of other snipers. So if they know you're behind that point and you have your team move out to distract them, they will likely stay focused on the point to avoid you sniping them. This is definitely what you should also be doing if you see an enemy sniper trying to pull this trick out as well. But if the sniper on the enemy team didn't know you were there and used your team as bait, then you will always have the advantage in that scenario. Another thing to add is that having a distracted target is always the best target. If you see a big fight going on with all the enemy team caught up dealing with yours, then this is the best time to strike. Doing so can cause you to be distracted, which can leave you open to spies or enemy snipers. So be sure you're in a safe location where you're taking advantage of your team's distractions. Now moving on to the next topic, dealing with scouts. Now scouts are the fastest class in the game and excel very well with close quarters to mid-range combat. They only have 125 health and will die just one click of the head with your scoped in sniper. This would seem like an easy win for the sniper, given the scout only dies in one headshot and will normally not be within range for the sniper since they're better with close range combat and not with the sniper's long range combat. However, due to my previous mention about scout being the fastest class in the game, it's clearly not so simple for the sniper. Their speed allows them to avoid the sniper shots with ease and get close up when they inevitably fail at quickly scoping the scout. This leads the scout into the best possible position for them to quickly take care of the sniper. But we want to try and prevent that from happening. So next time you see a scout charging towards you, what you first want to do is 1. Take your shot on the scout. Just try and make it quick so as to not give the scout more time to reach your location. And if that shot hits, then congrats, you no longer have to make an escape plan. But if that shot missed, then you should definitely start planning for your escape. When playing on a place you want to escape to, the first thing that should be on your mind is teammates. Having the advantage of teammates around throws the pressure off of you and makes your likelihood of surviving much higher. Also, getting the teammates to focus on the scout as well can make taking them down more simple. Another good option for an escape route is the spawn room. This is due to the fact that it prevents enemy players from entering and serves as a great way to replenish your health and ammo after dealing with the scout. Another thing that might be important to do when fleeing from a scout is to try and hold them back as much as you can. This can be done by either throwing off the scout with some warning shots with your sniper, or by using the Uzi to apply constant pressure on the scout. It is unlikely that you will be able to throw the scout off completely, but doing it just enough will reward you with staying alive enough for your teammates or someone else to help take care of them. You will almost always have to leave finishing off the scout to your teammates because the sniper has not been given the advantage in any scenario when dealing with the class that is both faster and can dish out more damage in close range. But after all of that, I think we should move on to the next subject that we have for this video, knowing your targets and who you should shoot first. Now, I touched up a little bit on this subject before, but I think I really didn't do it enough justice before, so I want to go over it again and give it a more in-depth explanation. What I mean by this is I want to go over and give most of the classes a brief explanation as to where they should scale on importance for you, who should be targeted the most to help your team's ability to push. Something I wanted to include beforehand is that when you're being directly targeted, you should focus on the aggressor more than helping your team at that point. I'm saying this because the explanation does not include when you're being targeted, it only includes enemies that are already dealing with another fight going on or moving from locations. Now that that's all said, let's start off with the Scout. The Scout, when not focusing on you, is actually one of the classes you have the least to worry about due to the lack of health that makes them fragile for most heavy classes such as the Heavy. Speaking of the Heavy, they are a class that's on a pretty high importance when it comes to taking them down. The Sniper class, along with the Spy, are the two best people when it comes to taking down heavies due to their ability to deal a great handful of damage all at the same time. This is the one class that you have the most advantage over, so thus it is what you should focus on a lot. Moving on to the Soldier. Now, since the Soldier is one of those slower classes, you have a slight advantage when it comes to taking them down, and you should definitely prioritize them, but not more than the Heavy. Now, going on to Pyro. They're not as strong as a target as the Heavy or Soldier, but they do make up for that in their damage radius that they have with their flamethrower. So I say that if you see a Pyro coming out to a large group of teammates, then that is a good person to focus on, but if they're not, then you probably shouldn't focus them. Next, we have the Demo Man. He isn't really a top priority to kill. He is a threat, but he is better handled by your teammates, and there are more than likely going to be more important people to kill when he comes around. Next up, we have the Engineer. Now, I like to think of the Engineer less as a person trying to win the game, and more like a rodent that stumbled out of their nest. But thus, this rodent needs to be taught lessons to stay back in their little hidey hole. They are a kill-inside threat, not because they are a threat, but because they need to learn to stay inside. Moving on now to the Medic. They are one of the biggest targets in games simply for the reason that they benefit the team the most. If you pick off the Medic on their team, the composition will inevitably fall due to the enemy team not having a constant source of more health. Now, talking about the Spy. They're not a considerable threat when they are out of range from you, but if they are right behind the team's Heavy and Medic duo, then they are definitely a higher priority to take out. Now, the final class to quickly go over is the Sniper class itself. The enemy sniper is surprisingly the highest priority target to deal with in most scenarios. This is because they are the only other class that excels at very long range combat, and thus if you don't deal with them while trying to help your team hold back the point, the enemy sniper will definitely be dealing with you. So I hopefully went over everything I wanted to talk about when playing the Sniper class, but if you missed out on a few parts, then here's a quick summary. You should always have your crosshair focused on a part of the screen that is equal to the enemy's head level. You should always use your team as bait to get the advantage over enemy snipers and the entirety of the other team. Another thing you should know about how to deal with scouts backing away and getting your team to help take them out. Finally, you should be able to pick out the targets of the highest importance when helping to defend with your team. Again, if I missed out on anything you wanted to hear me talk about, then please feel free to leave a comment below. But anyways, that's been What Not to Do When Playing Sniper Part 2. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and only take a second. I'll see you in the next video. Laters.